Hey everybody, long time no talk, huh? Yeah, I know. It's been crazy. Last episode, I know it was myself and Miss Kaylin, my daughter. It's been a little minute since that one. The holidays, man, I really can't explain. We're all busy. People of a certain age, we're all busy. We're all visiting people and doing our thing. But it's a new year, new year, new goals, new all that good stuff, new resolutions, and we're back in effect. I got a lot of exciting episodes coming up, and this one, I'm very confident, will be one of those. I'm very excited to bring on Ms. Catherine Walden. How you doing, Miss Catherine?
I am doing exceptionally well on this Sunday afternoon.
There we go. Now, do I have to say Catherine every time, or am I calling you Kathy, or am I calling you Kate? What do you go by?
Catherine.
Catherine. Oh, I like that. Catherine. I like that. Classy. Classy. I like the Catherine, the entire name. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, Keith, I used to go by Kathy until college, and it sounded like an old lady, and after anyone that knows me after college, during and after, knows me as Catherine.
You know, so, I'm probably gonna have someone on with this name, but no. What I was gonna say, I feel you on the Kathy. Kathy is one step from Patty.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Yeah, no, like Patty, like everyone, when I say the name Patty, and I say I'm going to have someone, I know I'm going to have somebody on named Patty one day, and they're going to be like, I heard your episode with Catherine. Something about certain names, it just gives you a picture of somebody, and that's all I'm going to say, because we all have the same picture for Miss Patty. Or Kathy.
Agree.
And I know a Kathy. And Kathy, I'm not talking about you, just so you know, out in Orlando. Good friend of ours. But anyhow, so are you familiar with the podcast?
I am. Yeah.
To a degree, right? Yeah. No, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah.
Okay. First off, I appreciate you coming on. I really, really do. This was kind of short notice, and you jumped out there like, yeah, no, I'll do it. I'm like, thank you so much. Yeah. So anyhow, without further ado, I'm so curious. Well, yeah, I have no idea what you do now, and I have no idea what you wanted to be. What did you want to be when you were growing up?
You know, it's interesting, and we'll talk about what I wanted to be, but I think what I do now is one of those, like, I've never chosen a career path where it's an easy explanation. So this will be fun. I don't have just like, oh, I'm a teacher or lawyer or whatever. You know, it's always something that I feel like I have to spend 10 minutes explaining. So that's always fun, but. What did I want to be? Honestly, it's funny. I'm pretty sure since I was little and all the way into about college, I wanted to be a doctor. I wanted to go into medicine.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like at one point I wanted to go into geriatrics. I just thought old people were so cute, and
that I did not expect to hear that when you said doctor. Geriatric.
Yeah. Well, so
how old? Wait, hold on. How old were you when you had this epiphany?
Yes, actually, I remember. I remember the moment, and I was working at a physical therapy clinic in Palmdale. Hey, Pito, and
right.
I was working at a physical therapy clinic, and the cutest little old lady came in for therapy, and I will never forget. I was a little bit obsessed with her. I mean, I always wanted her when she came in. It reminded me of my abuela in Puerto Rico, my little abuelita. And so I just thought, oh my gosh, I would love to treat, this level of, patients. And I thought, okay, I'm going to go into geriatrics.
How old were you at the time?
Oh gosh, I was still in high school.
Oh, okay. So you were working at this place while you were in high
Yeah.
school.
Yeah. Yeah. Like after school,
Oh,
and
okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
yeah, it was like high school and then a little after because I stayed and went to junior college, so I was there for a couple years.
Ah,
But
okay.
yeah, I mean, it's like, oh, I want to study medicine, and like the geriatric population, I don't know why it just stood out to me, and I thought, what a better way to service our elderly community, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, doctor, like that's what I had in my mind. Yeah,
Okay.
it didn't go down that way.
Didn't go down that way. Uh-oh. What happened? You chased fame?
Well, yeah, I think and this is no excuse, by the way, because I mean, I have 2 degrees now. Like it didn't stop me, but I think it's
Baller.
hard when you think about, hey now. So I think it's it's hard when I mean, we didn't have a lot of money, and it was like my mom barely spoke English. My dad, like, neither one of them went to college, but it was like my sister and I, it was like, you're going to school. And my sister always knew she wanted to be a teacher. And I thought that was great. Like, wow, she knows what she wants to do. I know what I want to do. But I feel like her path was a little bit of an easier path to follow than mine. It
Hmm.
was like, in order for me to drive my car and all these things, like I needed to work. And so the thought of going to med school and everything it just, it felt hard, like, okay,
Yeah, it
how am
didn't
I going
seem
to do this?
realistic. It sounds like.
No, and it's not, yeah, and we weren't like, I had a home and everything, but it felt, yeah, I didn't have like, my parents were like, we can do this, we'll make it happen. It was just like, yeah, you just need to go to college.
I can
That
relate.
was,
Yeah, I can
yeah,
relate to that.
yeah.
There was a point where I thought I was going to be a chiropractor, and I had the same experience. I went to a school that's no longer in business, which
Oh,
is kind of funny that things turn out the way they do. But Cleveland Chiropractic, and yeah,
yeah,
it was in like Hollywood, but like funky Hollywood, like off of like I don't remember, like Western or something, like L.A. off the 10 freeway.
what was this school legit? Are we sure?
Oh, it was legit for a while until it lost its accreditation, and it was in the news like a couple of years later while I was at CSUN. But my whole point, you said something like it just didn't. Like your parents sound similar to my parents. I mean, well, both my parents spoke
Yeah,
English, but
yeah.
um,
Yeah, she does
it,
a little bit. Yeah.
right, right. But it just, you couldn't grasp it the way you could
Yeah.
grasp other things, like the reality of
Yeah.
that actually happening. And that's how it was for me. I couldn't grasp it and
Yeah.
go, yeah, I could see myself at Cleveland Chiropractic, mainly because the cost in that afternoon, my dad and I went for this orientation. I don't even remember the cost. I just remember it was something like 50 grand
Yeah.
a
Yeah, it sounds
semester. And I was
scary.
like, I was looking at him, and my dad made good money for the time. And I was just like, even if this is
Yeah.
not,
It's scary.
nah, like I just couldn't see it.
And
It didn't seem
and
real.
no, and it's worse now. And here's
Oh,
the thing is like I had I had the support, and I think yeah, we both did, right? We were fortunate to have the support of our parents.
right.
Um like and I think that's great. And not a lot of families can just like send their kids off to college. But I think the hard part is, just right, having that plan and making it a reality. But when you're supporting yourself, it doesn't feel real, and so
No,
I
it
think,
doesn't. Yeah.
and that's okay, but again, I mean, I think that had I been smart, I would have gone to college right away. I would have gone into medical school and just followed the process and trusted the process, and things work out, right? Like
Right.
every doctor's in medical debt at some point, and so I should have just done that, and I didn't. I got scared,
Mm-hmm.
so I pivoted, and that's okay. We all
No, it's
pivot,
totally okay.
and yeah, yeah. So it's it's interesting where you think you're going to be and like where you end up, but it's okay. Like I'm
Yeah.
thriving. I'm not upset. I just, you know.
No,
I try
I
not to.
totally get it. I
Yeah.
totally get it. No, I'm in agreement with that. I think a lot of people deal with that. But you're right. Like, and see, it's unfair because you're looking at it, you're looking back at it with, years since then, not many, but a
Yeah.
few years since then.
A
And you
decade
have
or
better
two.
you have better perspective on the
Yeah.
situation. And
Yeah.
it was the same for me when I was in high school. I don't even remember the teacher. I want to say it was civics economics. I cannot remember this dude's name, but he wore really short shorts. He was also a track coach at Highland.
Oh.
I can't remember his name, and I know I'm going to get a million texts. It was Mr. So-and-so. Anyhow, we had a project where, what's your dream job? And my dream job was, I don't know why. And this is in high school. Everyone's listened to my episode. I have my own episode. It's called
Yeah.
Me, Myself, and I.
Love it.
This was not my first career choice. My first career choice as a child was to be in entertainment and as an actor. However, when I thought, okay, kill your dreams, forget your hopes. I almost cussed there.
Yeah.
What do you want to do
Say
for real?
bye-bye.
Yeah, what do you want to do for real? And it was like, oh, I would like to be in sports medicine and work with the Lakers. So anyway, my dad had me.
That's a solid dream. That's solid.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I thought so. And there was a guy right down the street from Highland. I think it used to be it was Devon's shopping center, and there was like a Little Caesars, I want to say, and a basketball or a baseball card shop. And there was Marlo Seabear. Now I'm making people go, oh yeah. There was a chiropractic office right there. And he also did like sports medicine, like sports therapy stuff. And
Yeah.
my dad goes, I want you to go talk to this guy. I already talked to him. I want you to, meet with him, blah, 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 blah. So I go meet with him. And I remember, like you say, like it just didn't seem real. He made really good money for the time. I remember I don't remember his name, so I guess I can say the amount. He made about 300 grand a year, and this is in like 95, going into 96, my senior year. And I was blown away. And he's like, but I had to live in my office, sleep there, because I opened this business for myself. These are things I couldn't even fathom, like how this worked. It just seemed too big, and I had no guidance, like, to make this a reality. So yeah, I agree with you with being able to grasp it and make it real.
Yeah.
That's tough unless you have
Yeah.
someone in your corner, family or super duper close family friend wise, when you're a kid, to go, no. I'll mentor you. I'll show you how this goes.
Yeah.
I didn't have that.
This is how you do it.
Yeah.
You need like that map, right? You map it out, and I didn't have that.
Yeah, I didn't have a map at all. Yeah, no. I mean, that's no knock on my parents. My dad tried his best. He did what I would do and what I try to do now with my kids. My youngest is super duper into band, and she believes she wants to be a sound engineer for music, working on people's albums and things like that. I don't know who to talk to. Like, if I found a sound engineer, I'm going to go, hey, look, I got $100. Give my daughter 20 minutes, please. Like, and that's all I got. That's all I got. So I appreciate my dad trying.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. Oh, I know. We'll see.
And that's exactly it. You just got to put yourself out there, and you got to try. And but yeah, no, I mean, for sure, life has a interesting way of showing up or making things hard and seeing what you do with it. Right.
Exactly. So
it makes us who we are.
Right. So you realized at a certain point you were not going to go to med school. What happened after that? Well,
I was working after high school, was working full time, and I was at junior college, ABC, Antelope Valley College, and kind of just doing my prerequisites, whatever. I saw a counselor, And it was really interesting because, I remember feeling very confused and lost. And I remember feeling kind of like, can I do this? What am I doing? Am I smart enough to go to medical school? And it no longer was about financially, um, the ability to pay for everything and whatnot. But now it was like, oh my gosh, am I even smart enough to do this? Like, what am I thinking? And I was never a straight A student, but I loved science. And so I knew I had a passion for it. But I remember going in and it was, I don't know, I think I was getting close to like not graduate. I never graduated. I just transferred to SDSU, but I just thought like, okay, then what? Like, what am I doing at SDSU? Like, what is my major? And that's where it all like came
This
crashing
is
down
San
on
Diego
me.
State, right?
Yes,
No,
and tech.
I know that you know
I
I
know
know
you know.
what it is. It's
Yeah.
just you have to remember there's people here in Georgia and Florida, and
Fair.
last time I
Very
checked, I
fair.
got people in Bangladesh, Australia,
Wow.
United
All
Kingdom,
right.
Russia. I don't believe Russia, but Russia.
Okay.
So when you say SDSU, there's people who
I
are
know.
sitting there listening to this in their cars and they're Googling it like, what the hell is this SDSU?
Yeah.
So
You
San
know what?
Diego
You're
State, you
absolutely
guys, you know, yeah.
San Diego State University.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. Loved it. But it was interesting because I went to the counselor and I said, "Hey, look, like I'm ready to transfer. I've done my prerequisites, blah blah blah. I don't know what to major in. Like I'm looking at, when you look at your courses and stuff, and I'm getting ready to move to San Diego and basically start this new life, on my own, paying for everything. And I just thought, okay, wow, I need to figure this. I need to sort myself out. And as as any college student should. But it was really interesting. She's the one that brought my major to me and said, hey, well, there's this community health education, and it might give you like that bridge between like community health, like your instead of going to medical school right away, why don't you take these courses and see if this would be of interest to you? And I thought, huh, I never knew about this. Yeah. So that's when I went to San Diego State. I went in with a bachelor's of science in community health education, and I thought, okay, this is cool. I'll try this. And
Hmm.
honestly, loved it. I loved population health and just all these classes that I took, and it was really interesting. So I thought, okay, I could do something with this. I like this. I'm gonna just give up on medicine for right now.
Okay.
And yeah, but oh my gosh, can I just say, as much as I loved the courses and felt really in tune to it, I guess, I just, you know, once you graduate and you get into the workforce, you realize quickly there is no money in community health. So,
I,
you
you
know,
know, I didn't want to say anything. I'm like, I don't, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, I just feel like it was taking, not being able to go to medical school because, oh my gosh, I'm going to be broke, this, that. And then going into a workforce that, basically creates the same, ending. I was broke all the time. I mean, you just don't make a lot of money.
Right.
And it's, it is what it is, but I love being a part of the community and helping doing all the events like health events and health fairs, and I'm bilingual, so I was able to go into these communities and neighborhoods that I was able to communicate and help these families that didn't understand the importance of you know um, checkups and dental health and car seat safety and whatever it was. And so yeah, I loved it, I really did. But then what was interesting is, I'm doing that. I have my first kid, and I think this is not, I can't live like this forever. So then I get my master's in health administration. And and that was because of one person I worked with. And I thought her role was so cool, and I thought she was amazing. And she was in administration, and it was more like physician liaison, physician recruitment. And I thought, oh my gosh, I want to do that. I loved working with doctors. I've always had a knack for it, always been able to communicate with them well. And so that's what led me to get my master's in health administration. I thought, okay, I can take my community health, and then I can, take this new education and really do something with it. So again, it's kind of like, life throws you all these ball curves, and it's just about what you learn from it and what you do with it, right? It takes you to your next chapter.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. You say health administration. I remember being at AVC and meeting with my counselor. Yeah. There's a certain amount of us that listen to this podcast that have been to AVC.
They know. They know.
I did my years. I won't go into that. I got a decent amount of episodes under my belt, and I've learned to shut up because people know my story by now. Anyhow, health administration was an option when I was going to CSUN. I did not take that option. It was an avenue that I probably should have, because you get older and you learn some things about life and career. And I was working off of the advice of my parents. I'm not going to knock them, but hindsight, I don't believe they knew enough about it to be able to guide me on it, but I would listen to them because it's just who I was as a child or young adult. And health administration.
Yeah.
Nah,
like, what does that mean?
and it's like, nowadays I know a lot more corporate wise with the world, and I'm like, oh man, that wouldn't have been a bad deal.
Yeah. I mean, I gotta say, like, if you're in the healthcare arena or technology, I mean, I think you're doing pretty good.
Big time. Big time.
Yeah, those are the two up and coming, I would say, industries right now. And again, here's the thing I will say about healthcare. I think there are so many avenues, and I'm non-clinical, right? Like, I'm not a clinician,
right?
But whether you're a clinician or not, like, you can go into all these different areas within, right, sectors within healthcare, and that's, I think, what I just loved so much about it. And I thought, I want to stay here. There's so much more I can do with it, and my career path has proven that. So it's been really interesting, I would say.
So currently, what is your title?
Currently, my title is VP of Academic Strategic Accounts.
Wow.
Break that one down. Yeah.
I know. I'm like, I want to ask the question one more time because I don't quite understand. What does that boil down to as far as meat and potatoes? Like, what do you, and I don't, I guess I am asking this for myself, but again, and people know this, I hate to sound like a broken record, but if you're a first-time listener, hey, we appreciate you. There are people who are listening to this for the first time, and they may have saw your name and said, I don't know, my aunt's name is Catherine. I want to listen to that episode first. They don't have the prior, so yeah. So
like
anyhow,
I said, I feel like all of my, past, including present jobs have been really interesting to explain. I worked at a long-term acute care hospital for 6 years as a physician relations rep. And that one was really interesting to try to explain as well, because I think sometimes if you don't understand the difference, like, you have a long-term acute care hospital, and then that's like high acuity. And then you have a skilled nursing facility, there's home health and hospice, there's like different layers, right? And so it's funny. I was doing that prior to this role, if you will. But so VP of Academic Strategic Accounts. The company I work for, Okay, I want to say dumb it down a little bit because I don't want to use these big fancy words. Like
No,
essentially
no,
we're
use away.
yeah.
However you have to explain it,
Okay,
it's fine. Let these people use a thesaurus and, Google. It's all good. It's all
I like
good.
it. I like it. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we are truly we are a total talent healthcare solutions organization. So what we do is we offer a full scope of services for healthcare organizations, right? So my clients or accounts are healthcare organizations. Now, specifically for me, I'm over, and I'm kind of building this up, but I'm over academic institutions. So when you think of academic, you're thinking of like UCLA, Yale.
Right. Well, you threw me off when you
Yeah,
said academic. I will be honest. I was
yeah,
like, oh,
yeah.
I
No,
don't
I
know
know,
what you do.
right? Be because healthcare, right? And so we're my colleagues who are also over strategic accounts. So for my role, we're account managers and business development. We're like hunting and gathering, right? We're doing both. And which is why it's interesting. But so when you think about academic institutions, like I'm the accounts that I have are the academic medical school, like the School of Medicine, along with their like clinical enterprise or hospital, right? Health systems. Um, so it's interesting because it's almost like having multiple clients in one.
Okay.
Where, okay, so like my coworkers have like Kaiser Permanente or what's a big health system in Georgia where you're at?
We have
I
Kaiser. We have Wellstar, which is pretty big out
Wellstar
here.
is my my best friend actually, she's the one that brought me onto this company. I've been there since September, but Wellstar is her account. It's a huge account. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my example, right? So where I'm specifically working with academic medical schools and their university hospitals, like they're over other health systems, like your typical healthcare organizations. Yeah.
Gotcha.
See, I see. I need a few minutes to explain that. It's not just
No,
like an
no, there's
easy.
no problem with
Yeah.
that. You're our first
Yeah.
medical. Uh, I can't even repeat what you said. You're the first one. You're the first one. I'll leave it at that.
but that's my point. Is there are so this is like a staffing agency, right? Like we do physician permanent placement, we do interim leadership, we do executive. So like for me, we're talking like chiefs and chairs and deans and whatnot. But then it's also C-suite level. You've got like your regular chief human resource officer, CEOs, CFO, right? Like the chief nursing officer. Like we do nursing staffing. We do. I mean, it's crazy the level of. It's not just staffing, right? It's like technology because now everything is AI and having all these different platforms. So my organization's really, I would say it's very vast in their offerings. It's a bedside to boardroom approach. That's like my favorite statement.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I get
Again,
that.
again, all these things that you can do in healthcare. It's crazy.
It is. So you hear that, people? And I'm not going to dumb it. Well, like you said, I'll use your words, Catherine. Dumb it, dumb it
To the
down for the
to the lay
dummies.
term.
Yeah,
Yeah.
layman terms. Healthcare is not just about being a nurse or being a doctor, or you know anything in between. A nurse practitioner. There's another side to it. There's the corporate side, and that's the side that she represents. This is another avenue. You don't have to become a doctor, unless you really, really want
Yeah.
to. But it sounds like, you
Work with
started
that,
out wanting to go the geriatric route, but you didn't abandon healthcare completely. You still ended up in that field.
And when I worked at the LTAC, here was the cool thing about my job. My clients were still hospitals and so on, but I got to go in and talk to patients. Like if they were going to transfer to my hospital from a larger health system, right? Like they no longer needed to be there, but maybe they still need high acuity level of care, then, I would go in and talk to the patient, talk to the families, explain the whole process. And I would talk to the doctor, find out, okay, how's the patient doing? When will they discharge? Like, what are their needs? Is it wound care? Is it like, yeah, it was really cool. Like, I felt like, man, I'm not a doctor, but I'm having these high level conversations with doctors, surgeons, and building those relationships. And I thought, okay, and I'm still talking to patients. I still felt like this level of pride where I'm like, okay, I still got there.
Right.
I'm not paid like a doctor, but it's okay.
No, I mean, I don't know, and we don't have to go there, but pay wise. But
Yeah.
I feel like anything corporate, there's so much money in healthcare. Eventually, whatever everybody has a number. I hate people that go, I just want to be happy, man. Like, no, everybody has a number. No. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're not happy if you can't pay the bills and you're hungry. Sorry.
And here's it. Okay.
I hate that statement.
You said it. Statement. Yeah. No, it's not just about paying the bills though. There's a level, a good friend of mine, we talk about this sometimes. People say paying the bills, but what we're really talking about, and I'm trying not to sound arrogant. There's a level of financial comfort.
Stability.
Yeah. No. Stability is we made the house note, the cars are paid, and we got money for groceries. That's being stable. I'm talking about comfort where that doesn't mean let's go on a shopping spree, but it means you're not
stressed out. You're not worried. You can go on a vacation with your family, have a good time, be smart, but come home and you're not stressed out.
Thank you for that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's exactly what I'm talking about. You come back from vacation and you're not worried about how you're going to make your mortgage. Yeah.
100%. And you're like, okay. And, and I know my kids see it. And they're like, okay, cool. Mom does well.
What? You have kids. How many kids do you have?
Yeah. I have 2 teenage boys.
And the ages?
Fun. 14 and 17, although the 17-year-old will be 18 in like 3 months.
Wow. So you're right around. You're in the vicinity of myself. I have a 20-year-old as of a week ago, and I have a 16-year-old. I hope she doesn't listen to this episode. Yeah, no, she's 16. She'll be 17 in April.
Yep.
I just stopped counting ages just for myself, the kids.
For your sanity.
It just gets to a point where it doesn't matter. We're just on this road, just traveling. But and you're a boy mom. I'm a girl dad, so we're polar opposites.
So different. Oh my gosh! Wow.
Yeah. But I was happy the entire time when I found out I was having a second daughter. I was like, everybody, you're going to try for the boy. And I'm like, no, I'm good. And this is my own perspective, and it's kind of sappy. When I was a single young man working retail in the mall, for whatever twisted reason, I enjoyed seeing a little girl raise her hand up to take the hand of her dad. And that was one of those, that's it. Simple as that.
Wow.
And it just something about it. I was like, one day, man, one day. In particular, went to Disneyland for my cousin's birthday back in like 98. And I was there with my uncle, my cousin's father, and we're walking down Main Street, and this dad was just walking with his daughter, who had to be like 4, and she rose her hand up, and he tapped me on the shoulder, and he goes, "You see that right there?" He goes, "I miss that so much," because my cousin was like 20 at the time. And I was like, oh yeah. And like, it just something about it. So when I found out my first daughter was going to be a daughter, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I get that. I think it's more of a man to a woman thing. I don't know. I always felt like if I had a son, I would jack him up. Like, I'd be too tough. Like, just me being me. Like, I would be, I don't know. I'm different with girls. You should be different with girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're, daddy's little girls. And I definitely appreciate that. I think it is interesting. Yeah, like being the dad to girls or being the mom to boys, and just like how different that looks, right? I definitely wanted a girl, but it's okay. Again, life throws you what it throws you, and you just work with it. And so now I just have those little guys, and I adore them.
Yeah, no, they're not little guys from the ages that you told me. You said 14 and 17?
That's right. Yeah.
Do they ever speak about what they want to be in their lives? Do they have any ideas? I asked this question for a reason, because it's one of the inspirations for the podcast. It seems like that generation, they don't have a clue. Like we thought we had a clue. We thought we had a direction, but nowadays there's so many things pulling these kids. Yep. I don't know if your kids, I mean, I'll be honest, like my kids are on social media. I'm not like one of those parents that's like got them, with a pager. But at the same time, they're not out there on OnlyFans or anything. But
that's good news.
Yeah, that's good news, right? Yeah. But I asked my daughters, like, what do you want to do? Like, they have no clue, and I always tell them that's okay. Like, it's all right. Just keep moving forward. Don't just stop and ponder, because you'll stop and ponder and the world will keep moving forward, and blink. Yeah. 8 years will go by.
Well, I think, and that's good advice. I am trying to help my 17-year-old who's, going to graduate. And again, I told him, I said, look, mommy went to junior college for 2 years before she transferred. Mm-hmm. It's okay if you do that. Just like it might help you. If you don't know what you want to do, don't go waste your time and money, right?
Right.
And then all of a sudden you don't want to finish because you don't have a goal inside, and now you feel. So I'm all for that. We talked about like the Marines. We talked about all these things, and I think at the end of the day, right? Like they have to make that decision. I will say a caveat is I told him, I said, you can't graduate high school, have no plan, barely work, not go to school, and still live here. Like, you need to make something of yourself.
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah. So I'm like, you're like a man, and so you need to act like it. Yeah, like I'm not lazy. I like, laziness is an absolute pet peeve of mine, as are excuses. And so I don't want to raise my boys to be that way. And I think there's still time with a 14-year-old. He's still kind of like, oh, I want to be this, I want to be that. I'm like, cool. Like, keep changing your mind because you're thinking, about it. That's cool.
Yeah.
But when you're serious, I'm like, I'll help you. We can like look into it. We can do all kinds of things. Mm-hmm. But it's hard. It's hard for that generation. Like, they don't have the tenacity that we did, like the drive.
No, it's such a different world. I can't even blame it on social media or anything like that, which is easy to throw.
I don't know.
Those are easy toss away reasons for parents to blame things on. I feel it's just it's such a different world. Like you said something. Your youngest, there's still time. Like, my oldest, and that's not to say there isn't time for your oldest. Like, my oldest is 20. They're 3 years apart. My youngest will be 17. My oldest 20. This year, for the 20-year-old, I asked her, I'm like, baby, what do you want to do? She thought she wanted to do film. And I told her, I mean, if you listen to my episode, I'm not talking to you. I'm not talking to you. I'm talking about other people, talking to other people, the guests, people who are listening, audience, I'm trying to say, without her knowing before I moved to Palmdale, when I was in junior high, I went to a performing arts school, and your kids sound like they're of a particular age. If you've ever seen the show Victorious on Nickelodeon, I went to that school, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a performing arts school. They had theater, they had video production, art, whatever you were into, extracurricular. And I swore up and down I was going to be a director. I was going to be in the business. And people know if you want to go back, listen to the episode. My oldest daughter, however, it's like in the genes, man. Like Daddy, can you get me a GoPro? I'm like, for what? And she's like, I just want to create, thing. And I was like, I just kept my mouth shut. Wow. I just kind of didn't say anything. And as time went on, all through high school, she was on video production and everything. I finally told her, I said, you have no idea. I said, this is so freaky to say and realize. I said, this is what I wanted to do. And I said, I'll support you no matter what you want to do. And she was just like, yeah. I said, I don't give a damn. I don't give a darn if you're 35 years old. I said, as long as you're moving forward. I said, all I ask for is when you get that Oscar, give a shout out to your daddy. That's all I asked for. I said, because I know what it means to do what you love for a living. And a lot of people throw that away as, oh, yeah. No one does. Work is work. And I'm like, not necessarily. Like, if, people always say, the richest person is a person who does what they love for a living. It's very true, man. It's very true. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. So I don't want to keep you for long. We're coming to a close, but I have a couple of questions, Miss Catherine, that I did not.
I've got answers.
All right. I love it. All right. So think back. What's the worst? Okay. Maybe you can relate. Maybe you can't. Maybe I just had a terrible experience as a young person. Have you ever had a job? And if you did, what was that job? A job that was so bad. You may have been there a day. You may have been there a week, a couple of years, where it was so bad you forgot you were actually getting paid to do it.
Oh my God. I can tell you right now. I got it.
Okay.
And it's embarrassing to admit. But while I was in junior college and I was working, let's see, I was at a physical therapy clinic, but I was getting ready to come out of it. And it was like a transition. I don't even remember. Okay. So it's so embarrassing. I was a telemarketer. For a week. Magazines. And by the way, my girlfriend was like, oh yeah, it's a fun office. This is what we do. And I just thought, I'm not kidding. And no, okay, I'm going to say this. I think all jobs are important and they have their own right? Okay. But for me personally, I was in that office looking around, and there was the manager who was sitting at his desk, listening to people and, whatever. And I thought, I need to get out of here, because I feel like this is one of those situations where it's like taking my soul, okay? And I just felt like I don't want to be here. This is not a place where I should be, because I've always worked at the mall, during high school, and then it was physical therapy clinic and stuff. Yeah, and so I just kind of took a different path. But there was a brief moment, and she somehow talked me into it. It was a supplement. I knew I was going to move to San Diego, right? And I was like, I just need extra money in between, an easy job. And so she's like, this is it. I got there, and I'll tell you what, Keith, I was there. I'm not kidding. It was a week. And I said, hell no.
What made you, what was the hell no moment? What do you remember? Sometimes it's a phrase or it's a moment during the break where you just go, Oh no, I was thinking this when it's actually
I
that.
I thought, the people I was there with, like, they were really cool people. I remember, like, we'd go to Wendy's, like, we'd go to lunch, and but I remember sitting there and thinking, this is their, this is going to be like their career or their life, or they're just going to bounce around. And I just thought, I don't want to get stuck here. And I knew I was leaving. So it's not like I thought I'd get stuck in that job and never leave. It was just, I don't know how to explain it. I just felt like, ah, I don't want to be here. This is like,
Yeah.
like, it was weird. And I just felt, I didn't feel right being there, right? And I don't know. It was definitely one of those moments where I remember sitting there, and I think I had probably talked to some cute old lady and talked her into some magazines or something. And I just thought, oh no, this isn't me. This is not
Yeah.
me. I can't. Yeah, that was it. That was like my moment. And I'm telling you, I wasn't there long. I've always stayed and really take on whatever job I'm at. I'm always there for a while. Like, I really take it serious. And yeah, not that one. Not that one.
Nothing
How
wrong
about
with
you?
that. Nothing wrong with
What was
that.
yours?
Nothing wrong with that. Okay, and next question. And I'm sorry, guys. You guys know, people who listen. I kind of rifle these off towards the end. I'm going to set the scene here, and people know when I say set the scene. Oh, he's going to ask the question. Miss Catherine,
Yes.
you're now just call me dramatic if you say so. You know Marie Kerr Park, right?
Oh my gosh.
All right, yeah, you know Marie Kerr Park across the street from Vaughn's, and there are some hands going up. Oh, yeah, of course we know. You are going for a run, which I have not forgotten about, by the way. Yeah, this woman is an Avenger, just so you know. And yeah, I'm talking about Marvel Avenger, but we'll get to that. And we'll close it out with that. However, for this question, you're going for a run. You're passing a bench. And who do you see? Your 18-year-old self. Now, you know
Oh my
what you
God.
look like at 18. That 18-year-old has no idea. You're just some lady running by in short shorts, training
I
for
I
your.
don't know what you're talking about. I look the same.
Oh, my bad. So you
Yeah.
would know, you believe you would know yourself if you were 18 and you saw your
Well,
slightly older self.
for the purpose of this question, we'll go with they don't recognize.
Okay,
Got it.
yeah. You
Okay.
don't. So you see yourself, and you go, "Oh
Yeah.
my God, time travel is real. I'm gonna sit down
Hmm.
and tell myself everything that I want to tell them."
Yeah.
Now, you are not allowed to say, "Hey, the winning lotto numbers are." Ba, 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 ba,
No,
ba,
of
ba,
course
ba.
not.
We're talking about life things, something a little deeper.
Yeah.
What would you tell yourself? What would you brace yourself for? You don't have to change a thing.
No.
There's no wrong
Yeah.
answer to this.
But
It's just
butterfly effect.
yeah. Exactly. Let's pretend there was no butterfly effect. Let's just pretend you believe if you had told yourself this, just peace of mind. And I'm kind of what do you call it? Guiding the witness. So I'm going to shut up.
No, I got it.
What would you say?
If I saw myself, okay, oh my gosh, 18. Okay. So that I feel like that's an interesting age, right? You're going through, and as I have a son and, you have a daughter going into that, but
Right.
going into the same age and, just kind of like I talked about earlier, and just feeling like you kind of have direction, but you don't. And
Right.
I honestly would just sit down and probably say, hey, like, how's it going? And just talk to them, right? As a person, because like that's probably what I would just do naturally anyway. And then just kind of talk to them about like, oh, so you're 18 now, what are you going to do? And I just feel like I would probably come at it with like some words of wisdom of, hey, listen, understand that life changes, sometimes abruptly, sometimes, shockingly, whatnot, but it's okay. Like, be adaptable. And I think that over my life, I've had to adapt to different things. Everyone does, but
Right.
sometimes you recognize it more than others. And I would just say, like, it's okay when things don't work out. And I gotta say, I think that kids nowadays, that's what they need to hear and understand. They need to know that it's okay if things don't work out, and you can pivot, and you can overcome it. And so I would just tell myself, like, be who you are, be true to yourself. If things don't work out, march on, you can just change direction, and that's okay. Just be happy, have fun. God, have fun. Life is fun.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I think I had a little too much fun.
Yeah, as did I. We grew up in the same place. So.
Right. Me and my sister, she went to Highland as well. She graduated 03, I think. And we were, because she's a nurse, she's an RN for Kaiser, and I was telling her, she tells me these stories. She's like, my gosh, like these people that are my age and like 2 years older than me, they're actual doctors, and they're like, oh, we went backpacking for a month in Europe and blah blah blah.
Yeah,
she's like,
I know.
Yeah, and she's like, I'm so far from that. And she's like, why? Because I spent a certain amount of time in my early 20s just standing in front of somebody's garage in East Palmdale, just smoking a Black and Mild cigar or whatever, like just being cool, or what I thought was cool. And I go, oh yeah, no. And I said, I didn't stop that party train. I went to CSUN, and me and my old frat buddy and roommate, Keith Studley, yeah, we pledged a frat. We were just hanging out. We went at the whole college experience, and we were not thinking, I won't say no one does, because there's people who were dead on from day one, but nobody I knew was dead on. Like, everyone who was standing there with me was just having a good time.
And that's okay.
It is okay. It is okay.
You gotta find it.
It makes for cooler people when we're in our 30s and 40s.
Truly.
Now, I will end it with this, Miss Catherine. What you guys, I did say Avenger, and I know some of you are like, what? What does she do? Does she do like pet rescue or something? No, nothing like that. This is all self-gratifying. I could not end this without talking about, and I have to ask, this person I'm speaking with is a triathlon athlete, and a very good one. And apologies for not bringing this up at the start of the show, but I did not want to mislead and make you believe she was a professional and that's all she does for a living, because it would totally kill anything she said that she actually did, because let's be honest, superhero with triathlons kind of outweighs regular people jobs.
Man, I wish my kids felt this way.
Oh, they never do. They never do. I'm not even gonna try to pretend I'm in your same realm. I do half marathons when I'm not recovering from an injury. I bet they are for you.
Yeah, half marathon. I'm like, let's go.
Oh yeah, you chew them like bubble gum. I'm sure you're a superhero. That's nothing for you. My kids just think it's normal life. Like, I've been doing that since I lived in California, and they're just like, oh yeah, Dad's running a race. Yeah, it's cool. We get pizza when he comes back, because that's his cheat meal when he comes back. When did you start doing triathlons? Because that takes a certain amount of dedication that I truly respect. I would love to do it. The swimming part is the part that I just... Talk to me. Turn me over to the dark side.
I would love to. It's clearly a passion. Now, mind you, I am not a professional triathlete. I do them, and I think they're so much fun. And there is a level of crazy, 100%, that goes with it. So yeah, there's a lot of dedication and motivation, and you know, you have to kind of surround yourself with people that inspire you in the same way, right? And I think that honestly, I didn't start doing them until I moved here I live in
Oh.
Utah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
yeah.
didn't even say that. She's in Utah, you guys.
Salt Lake City, Utah. Yes,
What
yes.
brought you
And
to Utah?
oh my gosh, that's a whole nother podcast. But I,
Really?
I, just life. I don't know. So I think, yeah, as far as the triathlons, they're fun. They're expensive. Oh my gosh. Don't get into it unless you realize like that there's a lot of money that goes into it.
Oh
Once
yeah.
you get all the stuff, it doesn't end. It doesn't end. There's always something new, like I've got so much stuff, it's stupid. And I'm gonna be honest, here's the thing. I've done this. I signed up for one this year. I'm doing the Ironman Boise, Idaho, 70.3 in July. I started training, which is
Beast
great.
mode.
Yes, I
Talk
love
about
it.
it. Talk about it. This is my stuff. Like
Yeah.
I want to hear. And there's a group that I know personally that listen to this, that they're on that same train, like, or want to be.
Crazy train.
Yeah, crazy train. Yeah, exactly. We're doing it for
Hey,
free. We have no sponsors. We just like to work out.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love it. And it's a different level of working out, right? Like you're grinding. So here's my workout. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, morning swim, afternoon run, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday ride, right? And so I have a kicker or a trainer in my basement. So my bike is on that because right now it's winter in Utah. So until about May, I'm training inside, which is hard.
You guys got snow and stuff?
Oh yeah. It's
What part of
cold. And
Utah are you
honestly,
in?
I'm a fair weather like runner.
No,
I
I
see
got
people
you.
running outside, and I'm like, why? Why are you doing this? It's freaking cold. I'm not that hardcore. You know what I mean? Like, I am okay to get on a treadmill for 8 miles if I have to. I'm
I
not going
got
in the
you.
snow.
So you've lived in Utah for how long?
I think about 12 years now.
Wow, 12
Yeah,
years. Oh, you got me.
yeah, I
You have me
know.
beaten, Georgia. Wow.
Yeah, been
Mm.
about 12. I think my son was about 5 when we moved here. He's 17. He'll be 18. So yeah, give or take 12 years. It's interesting.
Bananas. Now, who moved to I almost said Georgia. Who moved to Utah first, yourself or Daphne? Because you guys
My
both
sister,
live there, right? That's her
yeah,
older sister,
Da-
guys.
yes. Who keep notes? So she was here first. So my sister and I. So
Oh.
yeah, Daphne and I were in San Diego together. I got married. She went back to LA. She's a teacher. And then my husband and I at the time moved to Arizona. We were there for like 6 years. And then from Arizona moved here. Daphne was already here. So she's
Hmm.
married, yeah. So it's cool. So it's just her and I. Like I have my boys and she has her husband and kids here, which is nice. I
So
have family around.
your parents still live in
California.
Palmdale? Or
They sure do.
shut
And
the front door, really?
uh-huh, yeah. You know what? I don't go to Palmdale very often, but my mom's again another she's sick, has cancer and stuff. And so
Oh.
I flew out there in May. And it was the first time I'd been there in a long time. Like flew to LAX, rented a car, drove,
Yeah, I know.
it's the worst. Yeah, it was the
Right.
worst. Rolled in at like midnight, after work flight. So, but it was interesting driving around Palmdale, and I'm like, these were my stomping grounds. Like,
Oh,
and it's so
man.
different.
I haven't been there since
It's so,
2018. I'm so overdue. Yeah.
but are you though? Listen,
I know,
if
I know. The only reason
if
I
I
say
could,
overdue is because of my younger daughter. She's like, Daddy, I only want to go with you. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
yeah, absolutely not. If she wants to go, that's fine. But I don't feel. You know how sometimes people feel very connected to where they grew up? I don't feel that. If I never stepped foot in Palmdale, I'd be okay.
No, same
I
here.
don't.
Same here.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. There's what? You think you're better than
No,
us? And no,
no,
I don't. I just
not
don't.
that. It's yeah. It's
Even
just
when I was in California, we lived in Santa Clarita, and there was
Yeah, oh, that's
this,
cool.
yeah, well, there was this little bubble when you live in
Oh,
Santa Clarita and you're renting as
100.
opposed to owning a
Mm,
home. Do you want to buy a home in Santa Clarita at the time? Oh,
mm,
everything's $700 to $800,000, and it's like, no, and we don't want to buy a condo because you're just buying an apartment, basically. Sorry,
yep,
folks.
yep,
Do you want to move to
yeah.
Palmdale? Hell no. And it was
That's
like,
but that's the option for most people. Here's what I will say about Palmdale. It has grown, and there's a
it
lot.
has.
I mean, and so there are definitely. I mean, come on. Okay, I grew up in the ghetto. It's not nice, and it's still not nice. But
You grew up in the
saying
ghetto.
that,
Whoa. What do you
oh,
consider the ghetto?
drive through my neighborhood, you'd be like, oh, I
Really?
didn't know
You
that's
guys
where she
weren't
lived.
near Highland? Where'd you guys live?
No, I lived by Palmdale High School.
Oh. And there's a group
Let's
of
put it in
people who are
perspective.
like, what's wrong with that area? But I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah.
Okay,
By
listen, I my parents.
Smith's grocery store that's been gone. El Dorado, off of
Uh
Palmdale
huh.
Boulevard.
Uh huh.
All
Uh
that
huh.
good
Yep.
stuff. Carl's Jr. over
Yep.
there.
Carl's Jr. is like yes. It's so I lived in that. Do you remember Tamaris Elementary School or whatever? It's
I
like just down
do.
the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, my backyard faces that. It's not an elementary school anymore. I don't think though. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, okay, maybe I should say ghetto, guys. Sorry.
Nah, it's all
Sorry.
good.
But
Here's the thing. People know dang gone well what it is
mhm.
now. And, I
Yeah,
was doing commercial, and I won't go into it, but I was doing commercial real estate before I moved here to Georgia.
mhm.
And those few years, there were streets I had no reason to go down except
That's my
for,
point.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, I would visit my parents because they're divorced, and I think both were in Lancaster, but in different parts. We used to live right over by Highland when I was
Yeah.
in high school. And there were streets where they'd be like, oh, the property you need to go see is off of like I and Division. I'm like, I and Division? My gosh. And I'd drive over there, and I'm like, oh my God. There were streets that hadn't changed a bit, and there were streets I
Uh-huh.
totally didn't recognize. But the
Yeah.
one consistent thing there was it was way more ghetto than when I was going to
Yeah.
high school, and it made me, in a weird backwards way, appreciate the Palmdale of, golly,
That
we
we
moved.
grew up in.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we moved to
Oh, you
Palmdale
know
from
what?
LA 93, summer of 93, and I
Yeah.
left summer of 2000. So what, 7 years, which seemed like 20 years. In that time, nothing like it. When I came back to visit my parents, I'm like, I go to Vaughn's
Yeah.
by Highland, and I'm like, there's some ghetto kids just hanging out after school, cussing, and
Yeah. Yeah. No,
yeah,
I know.
like,
And you know
mm-mm.
what? And like we were the hooligans, like meeting up at
Yeah,
that
that's what I thought.
that Burger King. Yeah.
Oh, at the Burger King.
Where's
Oh,
the party?
yeah, you were part of that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
But you know what? I think it was and again, every generation's different. And by the way, I love like I worked out there at that mall.
Oh yeah,
My
same here.
boyfriend, my longtime boyfriend lived in Agua Dulce, but like went to Highland, and like my friends were there. My upbringing was great. I think that I had a lot of fun, but it wasn't anything I wanted. I didn't want to stay there.
No,
And
yeah.
it's just I
The
moved
mission was
on.
to
I
get
wanted
out.
100%. It's not like I loved that area, and my parents live there. My dad, whatever. He's just like, why move? I'm just gonna stay right where I'm at. I'm old at this point, so that's why they're still there. They don't care. Like, and we've
No,
got a
if
lot
they're
of
still
nice-
together, I mean,
yeah,
I'm sure my kids will
Yeah.
look at me the same way with living here in Georgia. Although, once I moved from California to Georgia, and I've said this a few times on the podcast, we go to Florida, we go to South Carolina, we go to Hilton Head, we go to all these different places. There's so many places on the East Coast and in the South where, at least this is just what I've seen, where it's like I could live here, and I'm like, oh my God, we spent so much time thinking, you know, as young people, for you Georgia, East Coast people, when you live in California, you either go to if you don't have money and you're young, you go to San Diego, Vegas, Santa Barbara, and Havasu. There you go. You go to Havasu because MTV went there. You go to all these places.
I partied in Havasu a couple times.
Oh, all of us. Crazy Horse Campsite. Yeah, no. You go to those places and you think that's as big as it gets. Once I moved here, I told my wife, I said, I can live anywhere. If they got a gym, they got a Publix, a Kroger. Publix is like Vons on the East Coast.
I know. I know about Publix.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. If they got my necessities, mainly a gym, I can live. I don't care. People like, my thing has been, you know, I want to buy property in Destin, Florida, or Hilton Head, South Carolina, to rent out and grow from there as a whole. And I won't bore people with that because they've heard it before. And it's mainly because, like, I can live anywhere. Like, it really, once you separate from that California, like, oh, this is it. Once you separate from that, like, you're in Utah. I mean, I've never been to Utah. It's beautiful. The guy I did.
It is. It really is.
Yeah. What was the name of your town again? I'm sorry, for Utah.
I'm in Cottonwood Heights.
Cottonwood Heights. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's pretty close to like the two big canyons that go up to like 4 of the main ski resorts, like Brighton, Snowbird, Solitude, and Alta. I live at the base of like that canyon, which is awesome.
Interesting. Man, it's got to be beautiful up there. Gotta be.
It really is.
Yeah. I was working for NAI Capital back in California. It's a commercial real estate company. And the broker I was working with, I'm sure you know because it's Utah. He was a Mormon guy, super duper Mormon guy. And he was from California, raised, but he bought property in Utah. And he actually currently does business in Utah because he's super heavy in the church. He and I keep in touch, and he's really making a killing in Utah. He's like, it's beautiful, man. It's so nice out here. So I'm familiar. I've never been. But I can only imagine.
Yeah. You'll have to make it out here sometime. If you want to ski, definitely come in the winter. But you've got Park City, which is gorgeous. You've got like all these national parks down south, St. George, Moab. I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff out here.
I believe it. I totally believe it. You can
find something cool anywhere. Really.
You really? Well, I don't say anywhere. I get to drive through, and forgive me, Alabama people, don't turn me off. But when you drive from Georgia through Alabama to get to Destin, Florida, which is beautiful, Alabama has some interesting areas, and I'm not talking Confederate flag style. I'm just saying there's some remote areas where you're like...
Those are out there.
Oh, they are? Yeah, no. They really are. I mean, just driving from Georgia to Orlando, there's some flags you see. And I just thought... I'll say this, though, and people have heard me say this before. I've experienced more... I don't know if you call it racism. I don't believe it's racism. I think it's more... Well, anyway, I won't get on a soapbox. But when I was in California, go to Calabasas, go to Beverly Hills, and not look the part for the moment, for the day. And you'll see something that if you're looking for it, you go, she did that because she, whatever. Here in the South, when I moved here, people were like, you're moving to Georgia? And I'm like... Yeah, I mean, my brother moved here first and with his family and ex-wife, and I'm like, yeah, should be cool. Oh, be careful. And I'm like, and I heard that so often, I was like, oh my gosh, is this going to be like a bad after school special where they're like, you're in the wrong neck of the woods, like a bad Dave Chappelle
No,
skit? It's not.
that's
Like,
crazy.
people are so
You know,
nice.
I heard that crap when I moved to Utah, and it was like, oh, but you love wine. I'm like, okay, it's not like illegal to drink. So you
Yeah.
hear all kinds of crazy stuff when you move somewhere, and you just have to experience it for yourself, you know?
Yeah, no, to
So,
each his own. Like, once I moved here, I was like, oh, I can live anywhere. Like, we're 3 hours from Nashville. We went to Nashville, I was telling one of my good friends, I said, oh my gosh. I said, and I don't know if you've ever been to Nashville, but I said, have you ever seen a 4-story club packed? Now, I won't say you, but I'm old. I was like, dude. 4 stories. I said, and he goes, 4 stories. I said, I'm not exaggerating. I said, an entire strip, picture the Vegas Strip, but it not costing $100 to get in. Picture everything being affordable for a young person, and there's live bands down the entire strip. And he's like, that sounds really cool. I said, oh yeah, and the Tennessee Titans play a 10-minute walk from the strip. And he's like, that sounds like a guy's trip. We could do that on a weekend. I said, that's my point. I said, we wasted so much time going, oh, we should drive to Vegas or we should drive to Santa Barbara.
yeah.
And get there and just walk in circles. I said, there's a whole nother life over here, man. There really is. I said, and I'm just finding out about it now in my 40s. And it's not fair. Like, I would have loved to have found out about this back when we were like 20 something. Had I experienced just a taste of it, I would have never came back to Palmdale.
Right.
Oh, heck no.
No.
Like, I would have never came back.
I know.
It's such a bigger world out there. But
absolutely. And here we are.
yeah, here we are. Here we are.
Yeah.
Well,
Love
Miss
it.
Catherine, I know you got to hit it. You got to hobnob and party hardy, like you told me.
Yeah. Yeah. For a Sunday afternoon, why not?
Yeah, for real. Are you off tomorrow?
I am.
Dang it, I'm not. I think I'm the only person that's not. Yeah, I'll be working.
Not everybody is, but I can appreciate a company that my last company and then now this new company have given Martin Luther King Jr. day off, and I think that's a very valuable thing to do for your employees and obviously the community. So yeah.
Work-life balance. Tell my company. But anyhow, I appreciate you coming on.
It was a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
I really do. It was good to catch up and talk some Palmdale talk. And, she didn't even touch on it. This woman, how many triathlons have you done? I'm sorry, because I'm a fan. How many?
I've done 6 Ironman.
You hear that, people?
Well, but hold on. So I've done 1 full, which is a 140.6, right? That's what makes you a real Ironman. And I only needed to do 1. And it's a heavy lift, right? It's like training for a full is a part-time job, and I'm a full-time working mom. So you can imagine how hard that was, but I gave it my all. And so really I've done 5 70.3s, which is half of that. And that's where I'm going to stay. I love it. But I've done community events like sprint and Olympic distance. I love the community triathlon. They're not Ironman, right? That's a different level. But the sprint and Olympic is so much fun. You've got like the community out there and the sport, and it's really cool. And it's much shorter. So it's great.
Right.
It's just a couple hours as opposed to like a whole day. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Yeah. One of my coworkers he's an ex-Ironman guy, and actually I have 2 people that I know that were avid Ironman guys, but everyone who I've talked to has said the same thing. Like, oh no, it's a second job, just the training, just the swims and the bike rides. Like, I had a buddy back when I was doing commercial real estate, my friend Paul Billgraff. He's like, oh yeah, we would ride from Santa Monica all the way down to Laguna Beach and back Saturday and Sunday. And he's like, yeah, no, come back, then do our swim. And he's like, and this is when his kids were little. And I'm like, that sounds like way too much, but I love it. Like,
it is. It's a commitment, though. You know, if you're committed to it, then you have to put in the work. Yeah. You'll see the results, right? So again, it's not like, oh, I just want to do one, but I'm not going to train that much. It's like, all right, then what are you really doing it for? You know?
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. I know it is. I appreciate the time, though. This was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you for coming on. It was short notice. I hit you up and you're like, yeah, love it. Let's do it. And I'm like, yeah, all right, cool. People are so scared and finicky. I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah, of course. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day. And unfortunately, enjoy working tomorrow. I won't be, but
I shall. It's freezing out here. It's gonna be 15 degrees and then a 12 or 15 mile an hour wind, so it's supposed to be like 5 degrees. It's fun. Good times. Okay, everybody. Hey, thank you guys for listening. Want to thank Catherine for coming in and sitting down and chatting with us for a minute. If you like the podcast, please leave a comment on Spotify. We're on Apple. We're on iHeartRadio. Anything you can think of, we're on it. YouTube, all that good stuff. Thank you guys. Love you guys. If you're driving, get home safe or get to work safe, and we will talk to you soon. Thank you. Goodbye.